Undead Unluck. This is Undead Unluck chapter 117, Forgive. Color page. Pretty cool.
Yeah, right?
I always love me a color page. I'll tell you what. Last we left off, Nico had his safe space destroyed completely. So he gave up. He was like, this sucks. And then he got completely taken over by the UMA known as Ghost. They had a cool Ghost Reaper lightsaber battle thing where Ghost's ability is he could like hack off bits of somebody's soul and make that part of their body immobile. And Andy was actually losing. He wasn't doing so hot. After no matter what he tried, the Ghost UMA would kind of like counter him at every turn. But Nico gained control of his body again and bought himself a few seconds to have Andy free Fuko and deal a decisive blow against himself and the Ghost UMA. Josh, your camera disappeared.
Yeah, sorry, I got a call.
Oh, okay. Anyway. So, yeah, Fuko's out floating towards Andy. Fuko's Ghost. They have like 10 seconds before Ghost disappears, and the concept of ghosts disappears from the earth forever, and Fuko is gone. Like dead. Like old-fashioned dead. So, Andy races over to give the soul back. He tries to like push it through the glass. Oh, Ghost is also giving chase. Ghost is like, fuck, that's my special feast that I was saving. He tries to intercept Andy and Fuko, but the various souls of, I guess, Nico's people hold him back long enough for Andy to reach Fuko's cryogenic tube and try to free her. But he can't get through, but that's when Nico's daughter, shows up and unlocks the cryogenic tube and starts the thawing process. During that process, we have Andy putting Fuko's soul back in, and now that her soul is back in, the thawing process begins. Miko starts crying because her dad is dying before her eyes, and she's like, "I'm sorry."
But she handled it like a gangster, though.
Oh man, she really rules in this. She's like, "I'm sorry that I wasn't able to save you. The pain and emptiness you felt from losing Ma was just a void that I just couldn't fill on my own." And man, this really was sad. Where Miko,
this was heavy, guys. I'm not gonna lie. This was RGC, but I'm jumping the gun.
Yeah.
But it was only between two, but this was RGC for me, by the way.
Yeah. So Nico starts like talking to his daughter. They have very similar names. Nico starts talking about how like you're wrong. You could have filled the hole that your mom left, but I was afraid and I was distant. And I ran away, and changing the shape of the hole that she left behind to fit you, letting myself forget her, I was too afraid to do either. And at that point, that's when he hears the words, "Well, them's the breaks," and he sees the souls of the science corps that died a while back, including his wife, and she says, "I guess I was just too darn charming." Very, very, oh my God. He's just like elated to see them, and he says like, and I bet you'll never forget it, right? And he's like, "That's right, I'm never gonna forget." And her mom looks at her daughter and she's like, "Miko, do you think she can handle it?" And then in a 2-page, following a 2-page spread, Miko's like, "What are you talking about? She's our daughter." And then Fuko revives. As Nico says, she never makes mistakes. She doesn't make mistakes. And Fuko comes out and grabs Andy, gives him a hug, and Fuko's immediately crying. She's like, why did things turn out this way? Because she could sense everything that was happening when she was just a ghost. She sensed the deaths of Rip and Latla. And, she was just like they just lost somebody who died unjustly, and all they ever wanted to do was save them. And there's these just like little misunderstandings that are causing nice people to die. Even Mr. Nico, he's someone who shouldn't have to die. And Andy's like, "You're right. I get it now. We're going to the loop, right?" And she's like, but am I really the one for the job? Am I the one that can save everyone? What about Huiz or Billy? Isn't there anyone who can go instead of me? And that's when this blood dragon thing bursts from the ground holding Tatiana, aka Untouchable. And she starts shouting to Fuko. She's like, "You've come back to life!" And she encourages Fuko to go down to the Ark and go through the loop, because even Mr. Billy said so, that Undead and Unluck will negate destiny. And she has faith that no matter what, they'll figure it out. And she does her Untouchable move, dispersing the big blood dragon thing. And you see in the little crater that was made, where the blood dragon sprung up from, you just see, what's his face, Unruin, down there being like, you're pretty lucky, aren't you? Undead and Unluck. And that's where the chapter ends. I mean, obviously, I guess RGC's from me and Josh at this point.
Right.
RGC certified. RGC certified. RGC.
Josh, you go first. What were your thoughts on this week's chapter?
Okay, so I already mentioned it earlier, but the emotional impact between these characters that we've barely spent time with. I mean, I don't know much about his daughter. You know, I remember seeing her prior in the series, but him telling her that, like, you know, like, I'm sorry that you was never enough, but, you know, to replace that, and, you know, to tell that to your child, that they're gonna take that, they're gonna take that the worst way. You know what I'm saying? At least at first. And for him to kind of just rebound and say that really it was about me, like I wasn't allowing you to fill that void, even though you was my daughter. And, you know, he took ownership for that, and that's some crazy shit to be talking about in the manga, man. I wonder what the author's experience in his life. That's what this series makes me think about. Like, man, like, I think about that a lot with other series, like the Chainsaw Man guy, like with all the biblical references in his series. I'm like, wow, what was your upbringing about? He was clearly reading the Bible. So anyway, yeah, it really stood out to me, the emotion of this chapter, and then Fuko also kind of being emotional and then coming to terms and staying focused. It wasn't just her being unrationally upset, like ignoring the plan. She says like that, I understand we had, like, it was important, but like, damn, this is fucked up. I think that's really cool about this series. They always call out, you know, injustices, or, you know, they always take people's feelings and thoughts and ideas into consideration, which is a shonen thing. I'm not saying that like it doesn't happen in other series, but it's such a core focus of this series. I mean, the only characters that don't have any real depth to the decisions they make are like the Umas, because they're bound by rules, and I think that's kind of the point, you know. And that's what makes this Unruined guy really interesting. I mean, we already know he wants to be king of the Negators or whatever, and he's God's favorite son. LOL. Yeah, I said LOL because, like, Jesus, and he keeps reviving, and Jesus revived, right? Anyway, so. I didn't have to break that down.
Something like that.
Yeah, this is just one of those chapters that, like, reminded me of the depth of the series. High quality. I like the chapter. I wonder what's about to happen next. I don't think Tatiana is going to beat this guy. He's like in the crater just talking shit still after getting hit with her special move.
Yeah.
He seems okay.
Yeah, he seems alright. He'll be okay. Well, I guess I get into my thoughts then. Yeah, this was a really incredible chapter, I think. Every now and then I like read Undead Unluck, and it's like fun. It's a fun little series. I have a good time reading it all the time. And then we get a chapter like this that's like, whoa. This was like pulled on my heartstrings in a weird way. I read this chapter a couple times just because of that little moment with Nico talking about, you know, the the shape of the hole that his wife left in his heart that he couldn't fit with his daughter. It's such a like raw emotional scene, and it's such a like it felt very real and relatable. It feels like something that somebody could go through, you know, like you lose the love of your life and you just don't let anybody in, and that's really what happened to Nico. And it's not like he was like cold to his daughter. It seemed like they were close. They worked in the science division together, but there's probably a lot of like arm's length, holding her at arm's length going, not really letting her in too close. And, you know, it's a curse of his negation, too, that he can never forget things, that he just can't forget his wife, you know, so that's like always replaying in his head. He can't move on. It's like his inability to forget things is just like his inability to move on as well. Because when you can't forget the very moment that you lost someone, like you lost your wife, it's crazy. I can imagine like how painful that is. And Nico, we've seen him like throughout the series, but like it's so funny how he's able to make us like really understand these characters as if we've been following them very closely for the last 100 chapters. It's a really crazy skill he has. Tezuka, I think his name is the mangaka for this. Tozuka. So yeah, this was a great chapter. One of my favorite chapters of the series. I feel like I say that every other week, that this is like the best chapter, but like I feel like Undead Unluck is a series that gets better week by week, and in a way where he's like very secure to explore these ideas. Because there's moments where Undead Unluck moves really quickly, but when it slows down and he's really allowed to just kind of like explore these characters, they're so great. And yeah, this chapter will stick to me. I want to read it again before like next week because this is pretty crazy. I love that those couple pages are probably like one of my favorite moments in manga of the year, so far at least.
Yeah, you know,
it was just so fucking sad. It was like, god damn, this is one of the more raw things I've ever read. And
bro, also Andy's face looking at them, yeah, like looking at Fuko as she's like breaking down about what's happened. He's just like,
Jesus,
what can I say?
Yeah. I mean, Andy has had to cut down his friends up to this point, and I think he's like sad about it, obviously, but he's already moved past that point where he's kind of already accepted that this is what he has to do, and Fuko hasn't gotten there yet. And it's going to be harder for Fuko.
He's being patient, like he's being patient with her. And It's just great technique. I don't know if I'm like searching for things. Look, I think about this a lot when we do this podcast, where like with the lesser, I just said it's the less popular series like Undead Unluck and even Black Clover sometimes, right? I really search for things, and then I say maybe when it comes to My Hero Academia, I overlook small details like this. And I don't know. I'm not gonna say I don't do it. Maybe you guys could call me out on it if y'all, if you want. Anybody listening, y'all know if y'all think I have some type of bias, go ahead. But I just think that this series makes a point of it and executes it well to show the emotional burdens and the repercussions of what happens to these characters. I mean, the way he's been doing it in such a rushed way as well. Like you said, characters we haven't even met.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So.
We didn't know anything really about Nico up to this point. And every character, every arc focuses on a different Union character. I don't know if that was like by design or because of Tozuka just like having this weird pacing with the story, whether it's in or out of his control or not. But whenever we get, this is like probably the best like single character arc, like for a supporting character in the series. But I loved it, and I also can't wait to see what happens next. We're getting closer to the arc. I guess he's gonna have to get there eventually. I don't think he's gonna be able to beat Seal or Unruin. He's just gonna have to make a break for the goddamn arc and get out of there. Because it doesn't matter. I don't think he has to beat them. He has to go back in time. So we'll have to see. But really, really good chapter of the week, obviously. Great chapter overall. Was that a big fireworks explosion?
Yeah.
You hear that?
Yeah. I'm wondering if you guys could, if my mic's picked
There's
them up.
one near me too that just went off.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go.
I definitely heard about me.
All right. Well, that being said, do you have any more thoughts, Josh? Any rebuttals?
Nah, that's it. I'm ready to move on.